Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to the daily cricket show, the cricket happening show over here. And on this particular cricket happening show, there are three matches that I have to talk about. One is yesterday we had a sensational innings coming in from David Warner. And the reason I say that sensational was that on the first day of the final test match between Australia and Pakistan, where Australia won the toss and elected to bat against Pakistan, David Warner, the opener, became the fifth batsman in the annals of test history to score a century before lunch. The previous ones being Charles McCartney way back, then we had Sir Donald Bradman, and then the former Pakistani opener Majid Khan, who did it against New Zealand in Karachi, and then Virendra Sehwag of India, and today David Warner has joined that proud group of players who have scored a century before lunch. And what a knock from David Warner. Take a bow, David Warner. He absolutely skimmed the Pakistani bowling to such an extent that they definitely didn't have an answer to the stroke making of David Warner, as David Warner went on like a train and slammed a century before lunch on the first day of the final test between Australia and Pakistan at the Sydney Cricket Ground. And also Matt Renshaw produced a marvelous innings. In fact, while I'm talking to you right now, I can give you a live cricket update which is coming here from the Sydney Cricket Ground, where day two, we are almost gone to the first hour after on the second day. And while I'm talking to you, I can see Matt Renshaw was the other opener who scored a big one today. In fact, he was out for 184 with 24s, and one could probably say that Matt Renshaw has booked his ticket for the Indian tour with this particular knock. What a knock from Matt Renshaw! I mean, it was in stark contrast to what David Warner did. David Warner was all really sweet stroke making, while Matt Renshaw was the one who was actually leaving the balls well outside his off stump, and he was also be very firm in his defense, and he was really waiting for the loose ball to score off. But what a knock! I mean, just going through this match itself, Australia were the ones who chose to bat, but to me, I was a bit surprised as at the selection. I mean, as far as Australia were concerned, everything was okay. Hilton Cartwright made his debut, and as I'm talking to you right now, I can just give you a live update here. Hilton Cartwright is already there in the center, and he's looking very impressive. He has played the spin very well. He has played the pace bowlers very well, and one can see this young boy from Australia, Hilton Cartwright, is doing a fine job. He's not out on 20 with 2 fours, and the ever consistent Peter Handscomb is doing a handsome job. He's unbeaten on 72 with 7 boundaries, and the Australian score right now, while I'm talking to you, reads 438 for 4. So just skipping the talk on what happened yesterday, it was a good toss to win for Australia, and one would have probably, one does not know. Suddenly one saw there was a drastic change in the Pakistan team, with Shahjil Khan being included in place of Sami Aslam, and that to me, I have to say that this is what I feel about it, because Sami Aslam, I feel, is such a technically perfect player as far as Test cricket is concerned, and I was a bit sorry to see that Sami Aslam did not figure in the opening scheme of things for Pakistan, and Shahjil Khan replaced him, because I definitely feel that Sami Aslam is one who is absolutely tailor-made for Test cricket, and I was really surprised to see that he was left out of the squad, and Shahjil Khan got his chance. And also the other surprise that one got was that one probably thought that Pakistan would be inducting the new cap Asghar on a test debut, because considering that the SCG is a turning pitch, well, we definitely have not seen any signs of any turn when Yasir Shah has been bowling. So probably later in the match we could see that happening, and if that happens, I'm sure Pakistan would really be really cursing for that, because I definitely thought that they would have included the new bloke Asghar in the team, but it was not to be, and Imran Khan was the person who replaced Rahat Ali. So that is the team composition, and Australia, as I said, they went off with David Warner making a century before lunch, and also Matt Renshaw, and both of them put on a partridge of 151. In fact, when David Warner was on his century, I would say probably Matt Renshaw has just gone into his 30s. So you could just imagine what a fine fine bout of stroke making it was from David Warner. I mean, anything short was dispatched, anything short was pulled, anything on the up was driven back through the bowler or through the offside, and also nice flicks on the onside as well. And I would say it was a super show from David Warner, and Pakistan were really hurt yesterday by this wonderful knock. I mean, one could say that how important this particular knock was when David Warner was walking on exactly 100 before lunch. What one saw was the Pakistan players, while David Warner was trooping off the field. One was seeing that the Pakistani players were very sportive enough to come and pat David Warner on his back, and that really says that how much the opposition has really admired the David Warner innings. So Matt Renshaw and David Warner putting on a big stand of 151 before Wahab Riaz, who was bowling his heart out, one could say, on this particular pitch, and he was the one who probably was the best of the bowlers, and he was the one who picked up the wicket after lunch when David Warner snicked one into the hands of Sarfraz Ahmed in the slips. And the ball got a bit of an extra bounce, one could say. It was gone for 113 with 17 boundaries. Usman Khwaja's contribution was 13, when Wahab Riaz was the one who picked up his wicket by getting him caught by Sarfraz Ahmed for 13. And then Stephen Smith was there with Matt Renshaw contributing 24 before Yasir Shah picked up his wicket with 3 boundaries, 24 of 3 boundaries. And then it was Matt Renshaw all the way till close of play, as Matt Renshaw finished with 164 to his name. But today, after adding 20 runs, he was clean bowled by Imran Khan. But what a knock! His maiden test century for Matt Renshaw, and his score was 184 with 24s. And one definitely feels that Matt Renshaw would have booked his ticket to go on the Indian tour. And as I said, right now when I'm talking to you, the current situation here, on just a live cricket update coming in, 446 for 4 right now. Hilton Cartwright, as I said, is looking very compact at the crease. Is not out on 20 with 2 boundaries. Peter Hanscom is not out on 79 with 8 boundaries. And what I'm going to do is I'll be coming back to this particular match later. Right now I'm going to leave you with this cricket update, but definitely now the focus will be on the match that happened yesterday. I will take you down to New Zealand versus Bangladesh, where the first T20 match was played, and it was once again the Kiwis dominating the Bangladeshis, as Kiwis actually won the first T20 match in a very nice fashion, one could say, as it was Grandhome who actually really snatched the match away from Bangladesh when Bangladesh seemed to have something under control, but Colin de Grandhome, the all-rounder, was making his debut. In fact, I would say at McLean Park and as I'm talking to you, I can tell you the Aussies have reached the 450 mark while I'm talking to you, with Cartwright actually hitting a 4 of the bowling of Yasir Shah, and right now they're 450 for 4, Cartwright 24, Peter Hanscom 80, and as and when any live updates are there, I'll keep coming to you here, dear fans and subscribers. And talking about the New Zealand versus Bangladesh game, it was Bangladesh who actually had to bat first. But let me first talk about the New Zealand debutants. There were 3 debutants. One was Tom Bruce, as I said yesterday in my Twitter, that he has a 156 run strike rate in T20s, which is enormous according to me. But he couldn't make much of an impression, and very sadly he was run out for only 7 runs. Lockie Ferguson on his T20 debut showed what a customer he can be, as he bowled beautifully and he got some extra bounce, extra pace, and he really harried the Bangladeshi batsman, pick up 3 wickets. And Ben Wheeler on his test debut also did a wonderful job to pick up 2 wickets for 22 of his 4 overs. So a very good debuts, one could say, for Ferguson and Ben Wheeler. Tom Bruce, I'm sure his time is yet to come, and one knows that he's having a sort of a suspense element to it, because as I said, Tom Bruce holds a strike rate of 156 in T20s in domestic matches in New Zealand. So let's talk about this game. So Bangladesh were the ones who actually batted first, and they mustered 141 for 8 of 20 overs. They definitely didn't look under control. The only good thing that happened for Bangladesh could be Mahmudullah's form. Mahmudullah has been searching for form in the ODI series, as you know, which New Zealand cleans for Bangladesh. Finally, one could say this was an innings of some real value coming in from Mahmudullah, as Mahmudullah made 52 of 47 deliveries with 3 4s and 3 6s. Other than that, Tamim Iqbal's made 11 of 13 deliveries with 1 4. Imrul Kais was out for a duck. Sabir Rahman 16 of 15, 1 4 and 1 6. Shakib Al Hasan 14 of as many balls. Soumya Sarkar was out for naught, so once again failing there, Soumya Sarkar. Mahmudullah, as I said, was the highest scorer, and that is good news for Bangladesh, that Mahmudullah, who is a very, very solid middle order player, has come up with the goods here. Mostadaq Hussain made 20 of 17 with 2 6s. And Mostadaq Hussain, one thing one has seen, that he seems to be a real 6er specialist. He seems to hit a lot of 6s. Mashrafe Murtaza out for 1, and Bangladesh batting first made 141 for 8 of their 20 overs. Ben Wheeler on debut, the left arm pace bowler, looked very, very impressive. 4 overs no made, 2 for 22. Matt Henry was costly, 1 for 44. But Lockie Ferguson on his debut also did a good job. 4 overs no maidens, 32 runs and 3 wickets. Grant Home also on his debut did a decent job. 4 overs 1 for 23. 4 overs 1 for 20 for Santner. As far as New Zealand were concerned, they were they definitely were losing wickets at regular intervals. In fact, first they lost Broom to the bowling. Neil Broom was told to open along with Kane Williamson, the captain. Kane Williamson deciding to opening the innings with Neil Broom, which was a bit of a surprise, one could say, because Kane Williamson normally is the one who actually is a sort of person who actually holds the innings. But one was surprised, but I would say this gamble really paid off, because Kane Williamson was the man of the match, who was there till the end to nurture Colin de Grandhomme on debut, and Colin de Grandhomme made sure that New Zealand won the match. Broom was consumed early. He was gone for 6 to the bowling Rubel Hussain of 7 balls, 1 4. Colin Munro was dismissed by Mustafizur Rahman for naught, and Corey Anderson, who came in at number 2, was dismissed for 13 by Shakib Al Hasan of 14 balls with 1 4. And then we had Tom Bruce, who, as I said, is has a great strike rate in T20s in the domestic matches in New Zealand, was dismissed for just 7 on his debut. But that was the time the score read 62 for 4 in the 11th over, and one could say that at least Bangladesh, I wouldn't say they had it in total control, but definitely there was something in it for Bangladesh to do something about it. But it was Colin de Grandhomme who came in, and as I said, Kane Williamson, the captain, was at the other end, and Colin de Grandhomme, as I said on the other day itself, he's a typical T20 player. He showed it against Pakistan too in the test matches, where he was biffing the bowlers, and that's what precisely Colin de Grandhomme did. He really gave it a real clatter, as he saw to it that New Zealand actually won the match with 2 overs to spare in the end, when he cracked an unbeaten 41 of just 22 deliveries with 3 fours and 3 sixes. One hit over long off, one went over long on, and one more on the onside. 3 sixes were hit by Colin D. Granholm, and what a grand finish here, with Kane Williamson left not out on 73 of 55 deliveries, 5 fours and 2 sixes. Kane Williamson definitely showing a lot of urgency in the way he played, and that was it. Shakib Al Hasan 4 overs 1 for 30, 3 overs for 22 for Mashraf Murtaza. Rubil Hassan 1 for 43 was costly. 1 for 21 Mustafizur Rahman, really pick of the bowlers. None for 9 for Musadek, and Soumya 1 over which went for 17. And Kane Williamson was the man of the match. Now the other match that I'm going to talk about is the South Africa versus Sri Lanka, and I have to say that in fact South Africa were in the driver's seat, because they were all out for 392 today. That is on the second day here at the Newlands in Cape Town, where Quinton de Kock went on to make his 3rd Test century as he made 101 with 11 boundaries. Other than that, Kyle Abbott was out for 16, Philander for 20. Keshav Maharaj did his bit, not out on 32 with 3 boundaries. But the man who actually got South Africa all out for 392 was the young bloke. Lairu Kumara was very, very impressive with his pace the previous day, as I said. And he was the one in only his 3rd Test match, getting his maiden 5-wicket haul in Test matches. 25 overs, 1 maiden, 122 runs, and he picked up 6 South African wickets. And that will boost his confidence a great deal now for the remaining matches. And also, other than that, 2 wickets to Herat. Herat has now got the second highest wicket taker in Sri Lanka, in the sense after Muthiah Muralidharan. It is Rangana Herath who has gone, who would be on the top of the pile now, is just behind Muralidharan now, as far as the highest wicket taker in Sri Lanka is concerned. Now, it was Sri Lanka's turn to bat, and one definitely knew that life was not going to be easy for Sri Lanka, especially considering that Sri Lankan bowlers were doing a good job, and that was precisely the case, as the Sri Lankan batsmen really found it difficult to negotiate the extra pace and the extra bounce that was there from the South African bowlers, and really were really looking like real rabbits out there, rabbits in the headlights, one could say, as the Sri Lankans were bowled out for 110 with looking at the bowling figures. Vernon Philander was the one who actually cleaned up the tail. 12 overs, 4 maidens, 27 runs and 4 wickets for Vernon Philander. Kyle Abbott bowled a very tight line, 8 overs, 3 minutes, none for 9. Rabada used the short stuff to good effect to prize out all the Sri Lankan batsmen, as 12 overs, 2 maidens, 37 runs and 4 wickets. And Keshav Maharaj, the left-arm spinner, picking up 2 important wickets, that of those talented Kushal Mendes and Dhananjay De Silva, to have figures of 11 overs, 1 maiden, 32 runs and 2 wickets. And this Sri Lankan innings were bowled out for 110. Karunaratne making 24 with 3 boundaries. Kaushal Silva 11 with 1 boundary. Mendes 11 with 1 boundary and 1 6. Dhananjay De Silva making 16 with 2 boundaries. Coming in, he was promoted in the batting order. He came in at number 4, and this was precisely what that I had mentioned on Twitter the other day, saying that Dhananjay De Silva should be slotted below Mendes, and I think that was a very good move. I really hailed that move by Sri Lanka there. Angelo Matthews making 2, Chandimal 4, Taranga was there, he was there till the end, not out on 26. He could not get any support from the tailenders, and one could not even expect that, as Philander cleaned up everything and got Sri Lanka to 110 all out. Thus, it was a big lead that actually the Lankans actually conceded to South Africa, which was, I would say, it was basically 282 runs lead. With the 282 runs cushion, South Africa at the close of play, with only 11 overs possible on the second day, were really driving it over the Sri Lankans with the score rating 35 for no loss. Stephen Cook was not out on 15 with 2 boundaries. Dean Elgar was not out on 19 with 3 boundaries. And if you look at the lead that they had, they were 317 runs ahead with all their wickets intact. So one could, there is a lot of time left in this match. There is definitely going to be a result in this match. There is no doubt about it. 3 full days left, and I'm sure du Plessis need not even ponder about a declaration, because he will have enough time to go and have a ball at the Sri Lankans and prize them out. And unless and until Sri Lankans can really put up a great show, an heroic show, I think Sri Lankans are going to find it very difficult to save this test match. Well, on this note, it's about time for me to say goodbye on this cricket show, but promising you, dear fans and subscribers, I'll be back once again tomorrow. Till such time, it's good night.